just a rerun, and then we're recording such huge violence. What do you think is really the problem? Is it that our democracy looks like it's maturing, is a caricature of maturity, but it's not matured?
MFR, there's a certain mirage that sits over our politics in Ghana. And I think that the day Ghanaians see through that mirage, you will suddenly see a very enlightened electorate that makes decisions differently. What am I talking about? I think that we believe that elections are a very high stakes activity in Ghana. Make or break, win or lose.
Yeah.
Because whomever takes the trophy, whomever wins the election, wins everything. But it's a mirage. Because since the dawn of the Fourth Republic, no election has changed Ghana. No party has come into government and transformed the country.
It's not a debatable.
Your life doesn't change based on who wins the election. Nothing fundamental about who you are, what you aspire for, what you are capable of, changes because of who wins the election. But we are yet to see that.
But there's some evidence to support what he's saying.
Yeah.
Because if you look at just statistically, so we had Kufuor. So let's go to 2020 was when we changed government for the first time. At the time, there was high expectations. Kufuor then did quite well. It took us to HPIC and then sort of reversed a lot of the debt, and we sort of went back to the international market. But if you go to 2010, when we began to produce commercial oil, to 2012, every government since then had sort of, it's been a race to the bottom. So in 2015, we had gone to the IMF because people forget at the time, the cedi had collapsed against the currency. So they went for policy credibility, if you remember. In 2015, we did the Senchi thing, and then, that. And then at the back of that, and one of the things that we noticed, just analyzing it, was each time we had gone to the IMF in an election year, the incumbent government that went to the IMF loses the election and lost elections significantly. So in 2016, the NDC lost elections. And you think that the party that took over will do better because they've learned a lesson. 2016's margin of defeat was so significant. The margin of victory was huge for Kufuor. What happened? They did worse than the government before them. We thought then was the worst rock bottom we've hit. But 2020, 2023, 2022, 2024 beat that. I mean, Kufuor managed to somehow outdo the chaos and the rock bottom of 2016. So it backs your point. And then, of course, we now delivered another one now. The question is whether they would reverse.
But Kajol, then how does that then impact?
It sort of get worse, at least over the last 16 years.
But we think they do, right? That's the mirage. We think the elections change our lives. They don't. The only thing that changes is who has access to stealing. That's what changes, right? The people who rob us change. That's it, right? So, in essence, because we think everything rides on the election, while nothing actually rides on it, we are able to muster emotion to the level of violence, believing that we have to affect the outcome of the election by hook or crook, not realizing that if we stay at home and let things take their course, our lives will remain pretty much the same. So with every by-election, we decide that everything rides on it because this is what will tell us what the nation thinks of us. This is what will tell us whether the choice we made in the election recently was the right one or the wrong one. This is what will validate what we've just come through. So let's throw everything at it. These by-elections were inconsequential. It would have made no difference who won or lost. We would still have had a mega majority or whatever you want to call them. We would still have had a paltry minority or whatever you want to call them. Nothing would have changed fundamentally from the results of these two by-elections. But in our minds, everything rides on it.
Sorry, but there's some very good justification for the point you are making, however controversial it is. But we also have to acknowledge, he's saying what he's saying, and there's every good reason for it because of the bad leadership we have had over the period. And we have seen our peers, the countries that we gain independence with, we can only always reference them to show how badly we have managed ourselves. okay? So we will reference Malaysia and the rest of them, and we are nowhere close.
I thought that was quite far. Malaysia.
Correct.
Yeah.
So for that reason, you are correct. When I see all the broken roads and the schools under trees that we are never, ending, that's a good point you raise. But elections are important. Because look, we went broke as a country, completely broke. We're getting to a point like some other country where fuel had to be rationed for essential workers, right? You have an election that has somewhat changed that circumstance. We've had the CD at least managed to be stable for a while. We don't know if that stability is organic. We can debate that. But look at how things were being run. Look at the nature of inflation.
If you don't mind,
okay? The way inflation was running up.
Is it on the CD of
to some extent,
no, let me just,
elections do matter. And I believe that we have leaders who think beyond, the thievery and what they can get personally. So we have John Mahama, and we're thinking about a legacy term, and he clearly knows the burden of the expectations on him, the constitutional changes that are expected.
Kujo, do you see the point he's advancing?
They will change the architecture of this country forever.
If I had continued, I would have come to that point. Anyway.
It's fine.
Because it is true.
Okay.
Right? And I would have come to that. I was starting from this basis because I needed to remove the mirage. Before I then go and talk about the real differences between the government we just experienced and the one we are experiencing now. Because there are differences. There are differences. They may not be life-changing, but there are differences, and they are important. All right? First of all, it would not have been difficult for anyone to have been better than the last government we just had. Not have been difficult. Because I agree. That is the worst president we've had in the Fourth Republic. Someone who dipped his hands into people's nest eggs, people's savings, people's investments, people's pensions to fund his government. That's the lowest of the low. It doesn't get worse than that. Someone who stood on platforms and defended Galamsey, said, they are not doing it as we speak. So let them be.
So it brings the point back to the fact that...
Is it difficult to do better than that?
Which will mean that we've got to wear the mirage back then.
No, the mirage exists. It's always there.
Okay.
And it comes out during elections. Right? I was trying to answer your question about why there's always violence. But there are differences between the performance of governments. There are differences. The point is that it is not difficult to follow a government as bad as the one we just had. It's not difficult. In fact, that's the reason why I didn't think John Mahama needed a honeymoon at all. He'd been president before. He'd done it for 4 years. He wasn't new to the job. He had 8 years to lay his plans of how to come and do better. So for me, his accountability should have begun from day one. No honeymoon. But he came along and actually fulfilled some of the promises he made. That makes a pleasant change.
He actually was greeted with a crisis, with the energy crisis that it made.
From day one.
Yeah.
From day one, the lights were going to go off.
Yeah.
He fixed it. Good for him. The lights have stayed on all year. Right? Yeah. Congratulations to him for that. And you see, these things ought to be normal. These ought not be the things that we praise.
Low hanging fruit.
Right? Right. But after what we've just been through, it becomes like superhuman achievements.
Yeah. Right then.
Right? So let me wrap up with this.
Yeah.
For me, John Mahama's first year started with that, all the pomp and promise of that inauguration ceremony, because we had been traumatized. And anything would have been better than what we had been through. So we were excited. We gave him all the support because we expected a lot from him. But it also meant that we have been, in my view, a little bit lax in criticizing President Mahama, because we don't want to have buyer's remorse. We don't want to look back at the choice we made overwhelmingly in the 2024 election and say, oh, we made a bad choice.
Would you be mindful of where you're coming from?
Sorry?
Would you be mindful of the governance that you were coming from?
Well, yes.
Whilst you're criticizing.
Yeah, but it still doesn't change the fact that we must hold up leaders to a standard.
That's right.
And we shouldn't say that, oh, as long as he got 10 out of 100 and the last guy got 2 out of 100, we are happy.
Okay.